Jobs. 1-877-399-9898. This is Harold. Hey, if anybody from I get emails from people during the week saying, you, Catherine and Linda, always take on the unions. You're not fair to them. If you're a union boss,
let her rip.
Right? Call 1-877-399-9898. Catherine and Linda aren't going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. If you think we're being unfair to unions, call 1-877-399-9898. Bob in Langley, British Columbia. I know, Catherine, you agree with that, right?
Yes,
Absolutely.
I'm here.
Bob in Langley, go ahead, Bob. You're a member of a union, right?
That's correct, Roy.
Let me put my helmet on, okay? Let me put my pads and helmet on.
You do that.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, now I haven't listened to the entire show today, but there was some changes that were introduced by Tony Clement this week that they're going to have some significant changes on working people, and it has to do with the Canada Labour Code and the changes that the government is making unilaterally to the definition of dangerous work, and how that's going to affect people. I don't know if you, Roy, or your guests have ever done dangerous work or have worked in situations that are dangerous, but
I have actually, but that was a long time ago. Yep.
Okay. Well, then you'd understand that the protections for workers, if they see something that's dangerous, there needs to be a pause button where we can push the pause button and have a look at that situation and make sure that it is indeed safe to continue. And the government seems to be bent on making unilateral changes without any kind of consultation with anyone. Never mind just the unions; they're not talking to anybody.
Do you say just like Bob? Do you mean governments generally, or this particular government that's in Ottawa?
This particular government.
Okay. So I just wanted to know where the focus was. Go ahead, Catherine.
Most of this I was just going to ask, would not most of this come under the workers' compensation, framework, which is a provincial responsibility? I suspect you're talking about federally regulated workplaces, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct, and that's where he's making these sweeping changes. He's also come out with some sweeping changes to the Public Service Staff Relations Act, which is also something that has, for years and years, many years, has been freely negotiated between the employers and the unions. And, and he's
I have to call you on that, because you know what's got me going over the years, and it's no particular government, no particular political party, is that governments of all political stripes, to be honest with you, over the years have not represented taxpayers' interests. What I would love to see in these negotiations, and by the way, I have no problem with free collective bargaining. And I think in the public sector, though, it's a different cat, because at least in the private sector, both the unions and the management know that if they do something stupid, their company ultimately will be out of business. That's not the case with government. It's a whole different ballgame in the public sector. I would love to see taxpayer representatives at the table, because I've seen governments, like I say, no particular political stripe, federal, provincial, municipal, sell out taxpayers time and time to buy peace. Their motivation is buy peace. They don't want trouble. And you know what? It's got us in a big pickle with big debt, pensions in the public sector that are grossly underfunded, wage levels in the public sector that exceed that of the same job in the private sector. And so, I don't disagree with you about the whole notion of free collective bargaining. I totally support that. But I'm unfortunately think in the public sector, governments don't represent the taxpayers they should, and we all ultimately end up in trouble.
Okay, we have, Catherine, we have about 1 minute here. I want to hear what Bob says. Bob, I just want to say to this quickly, that unions have not been without their power in all of these negotiations and all of these activities. Unions have a significant amount of power, which they exercise.
If I could respond, though, Roy, just very quickly, there is a process in place in collective bargaining, and it's called third-party intervention. And the government introduced legislation, changed the Public Service Modernization Act, so that there would be an opportunity for independent third parties to come in the public interest, as you suggest, make recommendations to both sides, to unions and government, to solve these problems in the public interest. And this is something that the government has put in place, and they have now flatly turned their back on that.
Okay, I have to stop you there, Bob. I have to stop you because of the clock. We can pick this up another day.